Hey everyone, it's Jeannie, and today's card was created for an Instagram hop collaboration between Ink on 3 and Pear Press. I'll leave my Instagram link below so you can join the hop and leave a comment for a chance to win a gift card. For today's card, I'm using Ink on 3's Oh Dear and Snow Buddy stamp set along with Pear Press Easy Lights. I also wanted to show this collapsible marker bag Pear Press carries in their store. Right now I use it to hold the markers I color with on my desk, so I can keep track of the colors for a particular project. When I travel again, I'm definitely taking this bag on the road because it holds more than my other pencil bags. I'm creating a scene today and I'm starting out by freehanding some icicles. I draw some triangle shapes in pencil. And my idea behind this card is that these critters are hanging out in a cave with icicles above them, and those icicles are decorated with holiday lights. So in the Oh Dear stamp set, there are two string of lights. One is a larger one with standalone lights that can be added as you please, and the second string of lights are smaller, which I use on the top left and right hand side. So for the larger string of lights, I kind of wanted them to wrap around the icicles. So I actually partially stamp the right hand side because I wanted it to look like it wrapped around the icicle that I'm drawing. For the larger lights, I will be adding 3 large lights because I will be using the easy lights to light them up. So anytime I'm doing a scene and I am having trouble visualizing it, I will stamp it on a template. So you saw a quick glimpse of my template. I had lights everywhere. I even had a penguin in this scene, but I decided to keep it pretty simple. So the only areas that I really needed to mask off were the polar bears because I wanted them to wear beanies and I wanted them to be sitting on a block of ice. So I did need to fussy cut masks for their images and place them so I can stamp the ice block over them and create that portion of the scene. I will be adding additional ice blocks on the scene, and I'll be adding an additional critter, the seal, and I wanted him to look like he was swimming in the ocean, so I did partially mask him as well. For all the areas that I drew in with pencil, I'm going in with a Copic friendly pen, and I'm kind of avoiding the straight triangle shapes. I had a bit of wiggly lines. There's no better way of describing them, but it kind of gives it more of a realistic look, and I really like how that turned out. And once you color it up, I think it looks more and more realistic, and I hope that you think so too. So for this card panel, I actually will be coloring the entire thing using Copic markers. I tend to stay away from coloring entire panels with Copic markers because Copic markers are expensive, their refills are a lot smaller now, and I tend to just mask everything off and ink blend because it's the easiest and cheapest way to fill up an entire background, and I struggle with white space, so that usually is my solution to filling up an entire card panel. But for today's card, because I have custom shapes and I have very small items such as the lights, I just didn't think it was feasible to create masks for everything, and I just didn't want to. So I was okay with creating a full Copic background for this particular card, and I think that it turned out really well. And maybe I'll think about investing in some cheaper alcohol markers too, so I can kind of interchange them so I don't feel like it's such an expense to color. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but for me it feels like it's an expensive card when I color entirely using Copics. So for the water, I wanted to add a bit of texture. I go in with 3B Copic markers and I'm kind of creating lines and blending them out. And that creates that texture in the water, so the water doesn't look like it's completely still, especially since I want the feel of the ice floating on the water and the seal swimming in the water. You can definitely blend it out completely if you wanted to, but I kind of liked leaving the lines in because it added that texture. For the ice blocks and the icicles, I am coloring them using BG markers, and similar to the polar bears that I'm coloring, I'm only coloring the shadows. I just want it to look as white as possible, and by coloring only the shadows and leaving a large portion of the image white, it will appear to look white. They'll look especially white once I finish up the sky background, which I'm going for a galaxy nighttime look, and I think that it really adds to the look of the card. For this card, there is a lot of blue tone hues in this, and the holiday lights and the beanies on the polar bears are really the only pops of color, and I'm okay with that. I think that it ended up looking pretty cool as a card on a whole. I've done similar scene cards for the holidays and incorporated lights. I have two previous videos. One is a holiday card and one is a non-holiday card featuring the easy lights, and I think they're so fun. They are so easy. I like them a lot. Like, I know that there are other lights out there that require copper tape and batteries and creating a track, and I really just find that these lights are the easiest to use, and there's not really much fuss around them, so I really enjoy them. For the holiday lights, they are going to be colored up using different colors, and like I said, those are the only pops of colors in this card. I will go in later with a yellow marker to create a halo around the lights so it looks like it's kind of glowing off of the icicles. And that is my trick for adding that extra effect to any lights in a card. Your main focus goes to the middle of the card where the lights are anyway, but if a person pays attention and looks at the card, they will see that subtlety. For the sky, I decided to create a galaxy background, and I had done this in a previous card, but I didn't do a video on it. I go in with a dark blue marker, and I will also go in with a dark purple marker to kind of blend out the edges. And once I do that and blend out all the dark edges of the dark blue, I will also go in with a mid-tone purple. The mid-tone purple kind of fills up the rest of the white space to fill up the sky area, and I will have two bright colors left. So I will be using a bright blue and a bright pink, and that will just add the extra dimension because I like the galaxy backgrounds that kind of have different colors in it. It kind of creates a little bit more interest to the eye. So you see me going in with that bright blue marker, and I change my mind immediately. I go back over it with that mid-tone purple just to cover it up. And when I pull out those brighter colors later, you'll see that it shows through even though the colors are pretty dark. And because the Copic markers are transparent, the color works really well, and it kind of picks up the darker colors if you go over it with a lighter color. But to kind of dull it down, I go back over it with that mid-tone purple, and that sky is done. It still looks like a hot mess, and galaxy backgrounds normally do until you add the stars to it. And you will later because I am adding snow all over this card panel. You don't pay attention to the weird blends or anything like that. It looks like I intended to do those unblended areas and patches of dark blue, and you'll see. So for the beanies, I wanted to add some Christmas colors just to give that holiday effect. And here I am going in with that halo around the lights, and it's very subtle. You can see it on the video. You barely can see it, but it does add that effect that the lights are shining off of the icicles. So for the larger ornaments, these are the ornaments that I'm going to be lighting up. I am using a craft knife just to cut them out carefully. I am working on a glass mat, so I have a folded piece of scratch paper right underneath so it doesn't cut up my glass mat. If you have a cutting mat, you can go ahead and cut right on top of it. But for me, the glass mat, if I cut right on top of it, it will leave marks in it, and I prefer not to. I actually have a few marks in it because I thought that I could just cut and not think about it, but no, it does leave marks. So once I have those openings cut out, I will be coloring a piece of vellum in 3 different colors. It will be yellow, green, and red. And I do this because when the light shines through it, it will kind of reflect that light. And I realized that yellow and green were very similar in color, and I think I learned that previously, but yet I did it again here. I would probably pick like another color that's a little bit different, maybe blue, just so it creates differences of color. And I will go ahead and adhere it to the back panel of the card. For the Easy Lights, they come with a unit that has 3 wires with light at the end of each wire. It also comes with a battery for the unit. But first, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment in juicy ink and heat emboss it with white embossing powder, just because I don't want to put heat to the wires that will be on the back of this panel. So for the unit, I put double-sided tape on it, and I'm attaching it to the edge of the card. For the lights itself, I am placing the light in the middle of the ornament and taping it down with a Scotch tape. And this is basically it. You don't have to do any thinking. The wires are attached, they're flexible, you can move them around to fit where you need them to go. And once I decide where I want them to go, I will tape them down with some Scotch tape just to hold them in place. I will be adding 2 layers of foam all over this back panel, especially enclosing the lights themselves. So you see those 3 squares where the colors are, those are where the lights are, and the foam tape more or less encloses the entire area. I am using 2 layers of foam tape because the unit is about 2 layers of foam tape high, and I just don't want it sagging or popping out of the card panel. I want an even card panel, so that's why I'm using the 2 layers. Once I have the 2 layers done, I will be taking this card panel and adhering it to a card base, and the lights are already set up. If you wanted to, you could remove the battery and have your recipient push it in, or you can have a piece of paper in between the battery and the unit and they can remove it for when they receive the card and want it to light up. It's up to you. So to finish off the card, I am adding the press me sentiment so the recipient knows to press me, and I want to add the snow. So I go in with 3 different white pens, which you definitely don't need. I was kind of testing them out. I recently got the Signo Uniball pen and the Posca White pen, so I was just testing both of those 2 out just to see if I liked it, and I did. The different shapes and sizes actually added the texture to the snow, and I really liked how it turned out. So that's it for today's card. I hope you enjoyed it, and remember to stop by on Instagram for a chance to win a gift card. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!